It's now officially been 1 year since we launched ClarionCorp, and honestly, it feels like it's been a lot longer. I had thought of a much larger video for this sort of thing, but I never really got around to making it, so I thought I'd at least come in here and make this little video going over everything that we've added and that I thought was cool. Who knows, maybe some of you haven't even seen this stuff yet. Starting things off, the first month or so was mostly just getting the original site template caught up in terms of content. We started by adding the missing awakenings, added now and Mako, and most of the missing titles. So additionally, a few days later, I added an FAQ page, a badge for developers, and changed the logic on this chart since it didn't make much sense before. I wanted to touch up on this chart real quick because a lot of people don't really understand it. If the chart looks something like this, they're probably a midfielder. If the chart looks something like this, they're usually a hard forward or a scorer. If it looks like this, they're a brawler. If it looks like this, they're a really defensive goalie. If it looks like this, they're a goalie that helps their midfields and also maybe gets a lot of KOs. Basically, just look at how it's weighted and you can tell more about a person's role rather than just goalie or forward. Moving on to April, we had some issues with the leaderboard. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I believe it was something along the lines of the leaderboard would pull the stats of each individual player one at a time and fill out their entire profile. This led to it taking so long that the leaderboard would refresh again, thus giving it double the amount of work and just slow everything down. And then it goes again, and then again, and again. It's just a huge headache. It took us a few months to fix this entirely. But at this point in time, we limited it to the top 500 of each region so that it would actually finish. This is also when Season 3 started. It's a shame because I was going to push some update that night that required me to back up the database, but I decided not to. And then that's when Season 3 dropped and reset all the stats. So unfortunately, the only snapshot of Season 3 that we have is from the month prior when we merged with Striker. Anyways, this was around the time that I released that last video, where additionally Omega Stats released. I was a little skeptical about the future of the site and asked you all for some opinions on where the site should go and what direction. Some of these responses went on to become great additions, like the Striker/character leaderboard from the Hypwalrus, Tony, Eternal Arctic, and Forgot. or forgot name. This chart shows the win rate, games, and overall stats for every character in both normal and ranked, and forward and goalie. So there's a lot of options there. You can see some cool statistics there. Whenever the season resets, this table is not super helpful, or when we have like no data because the season just reset. Also, another great addition, the community page, which was added last month, February. You can find various Omega Strikers related Discord servers pretty easily. Kind of nice. We'll touch back up on that later. That was also suggested by Eternal Arctic. And current live streams on the homepage, which was suggested by Grant Attack. Just shows a list of both Twitch and YouTube active live streams with the viewer count and the links to various sites and whatnot. Super cool. Really nice to see when there's like a tournament going on that I forgot about. Now, if you didn't see yours here, don't worry. I know we got a lot of submissions. Some of them are impossible. Some of them I'm still working on. Some of them are on the roadmap. I still go through it and read suggestions. There's a link below if you want to add more suggestions. Go for it. Anyways, right after that video hit, I took a break. Yeah, there wasn't anything for like a month, but after that break, in May, I added the current map rotation box. It's a box on the homepage at the bottom that shows all the maps that are currently in rotation, a little bit of info about them, some good strikers, and things that you can watch out for, and also how long that they've been in rotation for, so that you can see when Odyssey is preferring HE Splashdown to be in rotation for 8 months. Anyways, your nameplate now shows on your profile. It looks pretty cool. It's a little bit darkened. It looks a little jank on mobile. I need to fix that, but whatever. I noticed that Omega Stats added this as well about 6 months after. We also added the, I don't know what to call this, the current free striker rotation box. I ended up removing this because I want the site to be as automated as possible, and there wasn't a very good way of doing that, so I ultimately deemed it not worth the effort. But basically what it was there's a channel on the official Discord. ASUP would basically just make 2 characters free for everyone and update that like every week or so. Yeah, I ultimately deemed that not worth the effort because most of the people playing the game anyways usually have all the strikers, and if they don't, they aren't using this website. So I also added some logic to the win rate percentages so that if it's below 45%, it's red. If it's above 55%, it's green. And if it's anywhere in between, it's yellow. That way, it's just a little bit easier to see the win rate at a glance rather than just white or green. It also applies to the character statistics as well. Though in June, something different happened. We partnered with the EUSL to bring team badges to competing players' profiles. Now this is cool. It had to be reworked a couple different times, but now it's pretty stable. You can even click on it to see the other players on that team. It's not 100% accurate due to our data, but it's good enough for now. I guess now would be a good time to mention that if anyone wants to help maintain this system and keep it up to date, I would love your help. Please reach out to me on Discord. Also around this time, we added an iframe to player profiles to show the match history from Megastats. Unfortunately, match history is not publicly available data, so we are unable to provide it ourselves. However, we can still unify the 2 sites and make it so you don't need to have both sites open at the same time, so that kind of works. Also, recently, ASUP changed the site background to no longer be that weird, like, ugly red/purple color, and is now actually dark, so it blends into our site a little bit better. Don't know if that was on purpose, but I appreciate it. In July, we added several new features, like the nav bar now supporting drop-down menus so that we can have better organized pages and not have it look like garbage. The team badges now show up in the leaderboard. All icons and images are now being served in-house, so we're not relying on anyone else's site to serve that image. It's all coming directly from ClarionCorp. We also added the NASL, NASA, and NAST teams to our badge database. And then we also added a server pinger page where you can see your ping to various servers without having to load up a custom game. Kind of useful for long distance games or tournaments or something. And finally, the players online page. This page was able to show you exactly how many people were online in each region, with a chart even showing you the dips. Many players love this feature, but after a few months, we unfortunately had to remove it as Odyssey didn't like it. While I personally don't agree with them on this, we had no choice but to take it down. It has now been permanently replaced with this page, basically explaining everything I just said and going into a little bit more detail. Anyways, fast forward to August 12th, our largest update to date. This is when we massively overhauled the leaderboard and fixed all the performance issues with it. We also added a countdown timer to show when the season ends. That's just on the homepage. We added a player status icon to profiles, which was also removed by Odyssey and the same update as the players online thing. It was the same system. We moved away from relying on corestrike.gg for some of our backend. You will understand why in a couple of minutes. We updated the rating chart to only show the latest rating point for each day. This may seem counterintuitive, but it actually makes the graph look a lot cleaner and more understandable. We also purchased striker.gg and added a redirect here. Lukamana said that it wouldn't generate that many users, but here we are, 8,000 redirects later. So that worked out. We added icons to the nav bar. There's also this icon that shows if it's an external link or not. We fixed some colors, added cost to the striker rotation, but that's removed, so it doesn't matter. We added 404 pages for searching for accounts that don't exist or just errors happening. We fixed several animated emoticons not being animated. One thing that's not in the script that I do want to mention real quick, if you go to clarioncorp.net/debug/emoticons, you can actually just see all of the emoticons that we have in the system. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. I use it internally to just make sure that the site is correctly interpreting emoticons, but I don't know what that'd be used for, but it's kind of cool. It takes a while to load though. Anyways, moving on, I removed several unused frameworks, adding performance to the site, just stuff that we didn't really need or wasn't using at all. And then I fixed a bunch of other random bugs I don't really remember. Anyways, the point is, this update was huge and will probably be the largest for the foreseeable future, and I'll go into why on later. This is also around the time that we had a development version of the character calculator out. That was definitely interesting. We had a lot of players that had fun messing around with it, but it was ultimately shelved. The scope of it was just too large for me to handle by myself, and the math was foreign to me. I'm notoriously bad at math. Kind of bad to on a stats site and be bad at math, but whatever. I can't say if it'll ever make a return. I just wanted to give everyone an update on what happened to that. It is technically still being hosted, so you can find it under clarioncorp.net/tools/calculator. It's like super outdated, but the concept was there. It's kind of cool. Moving on again. Right as Season 4 started, CoreStrike.gg closed its doors. The site officially closed after running out of community funding. Thankfully, I was warned about this happening by someone, I can't remember who, sorry, but thank you, and was able to stop relying on the site before it happened. Though, after it happened, I did reach out to Reznok and was able to get the entire rating history from him, so thank you so much for that. See, the thing about rating history is it's not served by Odyssey. You have to build it and maintain it yourself. So CoreStrike, the longest running stats website, shutting down was really bad for archival and whatnot. So us just being given all of that information in one area that we can just easily pop into our database probably saved the entirety of CC in the long run. Anyways, this is the same update where I also recreated the CoreStrike API structure. So previous apps that relied on CoreStrike, like the official Core Stats bot, could work just fine with our systems. Fast forward a few months, after plenty of bug fixes and other small stuff that I'll spare you from, we get to November. This is when we added the custom games manager. That's what was used in this video, and allows you to really modify your custom games. We also added the peak rank to player profiles. If you hover over it, it'll show you what percent they actually got to as well. It can be a bit finicky sometimes, and we're working on a better way to convey this info. We also added metadata to player profiles, so the player's name will show up in the browser tab, as well as the basic data will embed on Discord. Currently, there's a bug where the Clarion logo will also force its way into the embed, but this is fixed and will be deployed in the next update. I also fixed various design flaws and bugs here as well. But then in December, we actually acquired CoreStrike, like the domain. We acquired CoreStrike.gg and promptly made that a redirect as well. Though this time we also made some custom rules for it. All API requests now correctly redirect to the Clarion counterparts, and all profile searches will automatically redirect to that Clarion counterpart. And if you're wondering, that domain has seen 7,000 redirects in the last 4 months versus Striker's 8,000 redirects in the last 6 months. I do want to point out, if you're one of the people still using the Striker and CoreStrike.gg domains, I'm probably not going to renew the Striker domain, and I might renew the CoreStrike domain. So if you're still using the Striker domain, stop, because I have no control on who buys it after me, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. It could be fine. It could also be malicious. So if you're still using this site and you still want to keep using this site, switch all your bookmarks and whatnot over to ClarionCorp.net, please. With that out of the way, now we're up to this year. In January, we added the API documentation, and it'll just kind of run you through some basic API stuff. If you're super familiar with the Odyssey API and you want to write some pages, just reach out to me. I'm totally cool with that. In January, we also added the username history to player profiles. Basically, if you're on someone's profile who has changed their username, it should show up with this little arrow that you can click on and see the history of their names. Two things that I want to point out here. One, we did get this idea from Inky Splashzone. Good site. I recommend go checking it out. And two, if you want your name history cleared, just reach out to us. I don't want to make this like a weird invasion of privacy thing if you had like a weird nickname that you just don't want anymore, and that's why you change your username and you want that cleared. Just reach out to me. It's super easy for me to clear it. I will. All you have to do is actually prove that it's your account. Just reach out. I'll get rid of it. Don't worry. We also added the season ranks widget to player profiles, mainly thanks to our data from the Core Strike import. This was a case of me panicking and copying Omega Stats because I realized that it was actually a pretty cool idea and that I could very easily do it, so I pumped it out in a day. We also moved the roll ratio bar underneath of the character stats. It seems to fit there a little bit more and balances the page out a little bit rather than having everything on the left and just a little bit of things on the right. And in February, we added the community browser suggestion from Eternal Arctic. You can now browse through various community discords very easily. It has searching, filters, and tags. If you want your community added, just fill out the form in the description. It's also right here on the page, and I'll just add it in a few days. And finally, we revamped the OBS overlay. Now it updates much more often. It's much faster due to a dedicated API endpoint. It only queries exactly what it needs, so it's super fast. It updates, I think, once every minute or so now. It supports live LP tracking. So this tracks your LP over time so that you can show your viewers exactly how your games are going and see your progress for that day. It stops tracking automatically if you haven't gained or lost any LP in the last 2 hours. Also, we're still looking for a good way to add this to the front end button, but you can add this to the end of the URL followed by one of these regions. Yes, I know Japan looks weird, don't worry about it. To get your rank specific to that region, you have to actually have games in that region, otherwise it'll just error out. But it is a good way to change your rank placement to your region. So like if you're number 1 in Europe or something, you can have it actually show that instead of like number 3 global is how I think it was before. Now that I've told you everything that we've done in the last year, I'd like to fill you in on some of the plans for this next year, as well as some items on the to-do list. Kicking things off, this next major update, I wanted to have it out for the 1-year anniversary, but it's currently in the testing phase and it would be a huge setback if I deployed it now. This is because the main portion of it is a complete rewrite of the player fetching backend, which in layman's terms is basically the entire stats portion of the website. It's now super optimized and organized to prioritize both speed and accuracy and also maintainability. I ran some numbers yesterday and it's now on average 20% faster than the current deployed method on the site right now, and 40% faster than Omega Stats, which is way more than I ever expected. I also mentioned earlier that this update would fix the embed bug, among other tiny fixes. And finally, I wanted to fill you in on some items on the to-do list to see if any sound interesting to you guys. This part is really the most important part of the video because I need to know your thoughts on these. Kicking it off with the biggest one, accounts using Discord OAuth 2. So picture this, you go to the site, you click login with Discord and boom, you're logged in and linked to your account in game. Okay, yeah, so as long as you have your account linked in game from the update where they partnered with Discord to bring voice chat to the game or whatever, as long as you've done that, we can link your OAuth token to your OS account. So it's all just completely automatic and super painless and simple. This would integrate very nicely with the next couple of things I'm about to talk about, like badges and trophies. I'm imagining a collapsible scroll bar, probably below the rank card or the profile card. The peak rank would be moved here. We could have tokens of gratitude from both Clarion and the community. Basically, like achievements. They'd be like little achievements and whatnot that you can scroll through to see everything cool. You could see what tournaments they participated in, maybe like what placement they got in them. Cool little things like that. Still in the brainstorming phase for that one. This next one I need to know your opinions on. It's been brewing in my mind for a while. Premium. I don't know what I'd call it, but that's the best way I can describe it right now. If we added a way to support the website, basically just pay for server costs, which would be better? $2 a month or $10 one time, or both. Not a whole lot would come with it. It's literally just a support thing. Maybe some small cosmetic things. I want to keep 99% of this site completely free for everyone. The next thing on this list, social profiles. I was contemplating making this a premium only thing, but just let me know your thoughts on it. Basically, it's just instead of verified only members having a link to their streams, videos, art, whatever on their profile, and now everyone can add, just like we'd have like a defined set of boxes like Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, and you can just fill it out there. This is something that I could probably add pretty easily. It just requires having accounts already being a thing. If I can make this a premium only thing, I'd like to, but like otherwise it's fine. If no one likes that, I'm not gonna make it a premium only thing. Just let me know down in the comments and I won't do it. Next up, overhauling the custom games manager. It's a mess right now, let's be honest. I'm thinking a complete rework of the UI, adding import and export buttons for entire configs, or just save buttons if we have OAuth2 working. Selectable awakenings rather than just presets, random maps with map banning, or select which maps you want included and randomize based off that. A couple of things like that. And then finally on the list is a best in slot page, basically showing you the best builds and awakenings for each striker and why. This was actually one of the things in the feedback form, but I'm bringing it up here because I would need some help with this. I think going back to the trophies / achievements / badges, whatever, some things like could be given out as rewards for helping on this page, something like that. So these are just the main ones that I've been sitting on for a while. Please let me know your thoughts down below on these so I can get an idea of how they would be accepted. There's more that I have not shared yet, but these are the main ones. I know I said this would be a short video, so sorry for that. This was supposed to be short and sweet, but I just got carried away anyways. As always, keep using whatever site you want, because at the end of the day, this is just a passion project. I appreciate everyone who does use the site though and gives feedback like these videos. That's it. All right. Love y'all. See you again soon. Bye-bye.